Before we ever learned words, we learned energy, the unspoken emotional language of our family. And that language still speaks through us today. Welcome back to the show. Today, we're diving into how our family dynamics, the roles we play, the emotions we absorbed, and the patterns we inherited leave invisible imprints that shape our adult lives. Whether it was silence, chaos, or conditional love, every family system teaches us something about safety, belonging, and identity. But here's the empowering part. What we learned can be unlearned. We can rewrite how we respond, how we relate, and how we love. So if you've ever wondered why you react the way you do, or why certain family triggers still hit so deep, this episode will trace those patterns back to their roots and start the healing from there. Welcome to the Fierce Heart Podcast, where I explore the transformative power of healing and creativity so you can step into your unknown journey. Lindsay here, and this month's theme is limiting beliefs, traumas, and patterns. In today's episode, Family Dynamics and Emotional Imprints, we're exploring how the energy we grew up around shapes the way we love, respond, and protect ourselves as adults. From the roles we played in childhood, like the caretaker or the peacemaker, to the emotional triggers and attachment styles we carry now. We'll look at how those early dynamics still echo in our lives and how we can begin to heal them. So if you've ever found yourself asking, why do I keep reacting this way? Or why do I attract the same patterns in relationships? This episode will help you trace those emotions back to their roots and learn how to reparent yourself with compassion and awareness. Let's begin. Each family has its own emotional undercurrent and patterning, what we learned without being taught: tone, energy, avoidance, approval. As a member of our family unit, no matter the size, we agree to take on one or more of these following roles. I'll explain how they appear in childhood and evolve into adult patterns. Number one, the caretaker, the responsible one. So in childhood, this looked like learned early that love and safety came from taking care of others. So often stepped into the adult role too soon, soothing parents, managing chaos, or protecting siblings. They feel responsible for everyone's emotions. Now in adulthood, this can translate to becomes the fixer or the emotional anchor in relationships. They attract partners or friends who need support but rarely give it back. They struggle to rest, receive, or to say no. They feel guilty for prioritizing their self-care. All right, so some healing work for y'all. Learning that you don't have to earn love by overgiving. All right, number two, the peacemaker, the harmonizer. In childhood, this looked like you tried to keep the family calm, avoid conflict, and smooth over tension. You learned that peace equaled safety and that expressing needs could cause disruption. You became skilled at reading the room and adapting to other people's moods. In adulthood, this could look like you avoid confrontation at all costs, even when boundaries are crossed. Often, you become a people pleaser or a mediator. You internalize your emotions, suppress anger or sadness to keep things okay. So your healing work is learning that true peace isn't the absence of conflict. It's the presence of authenticity. Number three, the rebel, the challenger. So in childhood, you pushed against the rules, control, or hypocrisy in the family system. You often acted out to express unmet needs or to expose hidden dysfunction. You may have been labeled the problem child, but were often the truth teller. In adulthood, this could look like you're highly independent, values freedom, may distrust authority or intimacy. You can sabotage stability out of fear of control or rejection. Often you struggle between craving, belonging, and needing distance. Like, I want you, and oh wait, this feels like too much. I need to take a step back. So the healing work for the rebels, learning that rejection of the system doesn't mean rejection of love. You can be free and connected. Number four, the invisible one, the withdrawn or lost child. Faded into the background to avoid conflict or burdening others. Learned that being quiet or unseen was the safest way to survive. You felt emotionally neglected or unseen in the family story. In adulthood, this tends to disconnect you from your emotions or relationships when you're stressed. You struggle with self-expression and feeling worthy of attention. You may prefer solitude, but also feel deep loneliness or invisibility. The healing work for you is learning that being seen doesn't make you unsafe. It makes you real. Each of these roles was a form of emotional survival, not identity. They helped you navigate your environment as a child, but they don't have to define you. They don't have to define who you are now. Healing begins when you can realize, thank the role for protecting you, and you can still choose to be here now. Emotional safety is the foundation of how our nervous system learns to exist in the world. When we grew up in an environment where we felt seen, soothed, and safe, our body learns that it's okay to relax. It learns that connection doesn't equal danger. But when love feels unpredictable, when affection depends on behavior, or when conflict feels threatening, our nervous system learns something very different. It learns that safety isn't guaranteed. So I want to go over some things in the body that are present when you grow up feeling safe and when you do not grow up feeling safe. So see which of these resonates with you. So when safety is present, the body stays mostly in a regulated state where we can think, we can rest, think clearly, we can connect to others. The brain associates closeness and vulnerability with calm, not threat. Emotional ups and downs feel tolerable. It's okay. And we recover faster from stress. We trust that love doesn't require a performance. This builds what's called secure attachment, the ability to stay centered and open even when emotions get big. So on the other hand, if safety wasn't present when you were a child, the body adapts to survive and not thrive. The fight, flight, freeze, or fawn responses become automatic. Some examples: if you grew up in chaos or unpredictability, your body may stay in hypervigilance, which means you're always scanning for danger. If you were ignored or dismissed, you may default to a shutdown or a numbing when emotions arise. If you learned to appease to avoid conflict, you might fawn, which is abandoning your needs to keep peace. In other words, your nervous system became shaped by how safe it felt to be yourself. The good news is the nervous system can be retaught. Safety can be relearned through consistent, calm, self-compassion, and relationships that feel stable and kind. Every deep breath, every honest boundary, every moment you stay with your emotions instead of running from them, that's your nervous system learning a new story. It's safe to be me. Our family is the first place we learn about love, safety, and belonging, not through words, but through energy. The way emotions moved or didn't move in your home became the emotional weather your nervous system adapted to. So if to you love felt conditional, you may have learned to perform or please to feel secure. If emotions were ignored or dismissed when you were a kid, you might now struggle to trust your own feelings or need constant reassurance. If anger or conflict was explosive around you as a child, your body may equate tension with danger and either shut down or overreact to keep control. If affection was withheld or unpredictable, your nervous system may live on alert, scanning for cues of rejection or abandonment. The emotional tone of your family, calm or chaotic, affectionate or distant, becomes the internal baseline your body calls normal. A trigger isn't just what's happening now, it's your body remembering something old. When your partner forgets to call, when someone raises their voice, when you feel unseen, your nervous system isn't reacting to that memory. It's the child in you. It's a child in you freaking out saying, this feels familiar. I know what comes next and it ain't good. This is why triggers are so powerful. They're not logical. They're cellular memories trying to keep you safe. How this forms our attachment style in adulthood. If you grew up with consistent love and emotional availability, safety and closeness, then you usually have a secure attachment. You're trusting, you're balanced, you're emotionally available. If you grew up in unpredictable or inconsistent affection, there was anxiety around love, then you'll usually develop an anxious attachment, which can cause you to fear rejection, seek reassurance, be emotionally distant, or neglect your independence, because this equals safety. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about how this forms our attachment style. So we've got 4 different kinds. There's the secure, the anxious, the avoidant, and the disorganized. So if you grew up with consistent love and emotional availability, your nervous system learned that there was safety in closeness, and therefore you developed a secure attachment, which allows you to be trusting, balanced, and emotionally available. If you grew up with unpredictable or chaotic inconsistency in your home, then it usually causes you to feel anxiety around love, which would cause you to develop an anxious attachment, which has you fearing rejection and seeking reassurance. Now, if there was emotional distance when you grew up and independence equaled love, then you developed into the avoidant attachment, which is extremely self-reliant and will oftentimes leave or abandon when things feel emotionally heavy. So if you grew up with chaos, trauma, or instability, you were confused around safety. That's how your nervous system got programmed. You became confused and you did not feel safe, which can then cause you to develop, which is essentially both the anxious and the avoidant attachment. Before understood them as essentially the secure, the anxious, and the avoidant, but sometimes people can swing from the avoidant to the anxious. But now I see that it has been relabeled as the disorganized attachment, where you swing between craving and fearing closeness. Like you want it, but you don't know how to hold it. It ultimately doesn't feel safe because you didn't grow up in a safe environment. But these patterns aren't who you are. They're how your nervous system learned to protect you. Healing isn't about blaming the family you came from. It's about understanding how their energy lives in you. Once you see the pattern, you can start to respond from awareness instead of a reaction. That's when the trigger becomes a teacher, not a trap. Not every big emotion belongs to the moment you're in. Sometimes what you're feeling now is really an echo from the past, an unhealed moment that's asking to be seen. When something in the present reminds your nervous system of an old wound, a tone of voice, a look, a certain kind of silence, your body doesn't check the date, reacts as if you're still in that younger version of yourself who felt powerless, unseen, or unsafe. That's why you can find yourself overreacting, shutting down, or spiraling, not because you're too emotional, but because your inner child just got activated. Your body is saying, I've felt this before, and it hurt. The signs a current emotion belongs in the past. The reaction feels bigger than the situation. A small comment or mistake triggers a huge wave of shame, fear, or anger. You feel like a child in an adult body, powerless, desperate for approval, or terrified of disconnection. You start storytelling from your old beliefs. No one ever listens to me. I always get it wrong. They're going to leave. You feel an urgency to fix, please, or withdraw. These are survival responses from an earlier time, not conscious choices in the present. When you notice a big emotional wave, pause and ask, how old do I feel right now? If the answer isn't your current age, it's a clue. You're feeling emotion of your younger self, and we need to get it unstuck. And try placing your hand on your heart and saying quietly, this feeling is familiar, but it's not from now. I'm safe in this moment and I can handle this. Each time you do that, you anchor your nervous system in the present, teaching it that it's safe now to feel, process, and release. The goal isn't to get rid of these emotions. You're not going to. It's to recognize where they came from. Because once you know an emotion belongs to the past, you stop letting it control your now. And that awareness is what turns pain into power. Awareness is the bridge between your past and your healing. Once you start noticing the patterns, the next step is learning to listen, not just to what you feel, but whose voice you're hearing when you feel it. These questions aren't about blame. They're about understanding. Because every pattern, every coping mechanism was your nervous system's way of saying, I'm trying to keep you safe. And the moment you begin to listen with curiosity instead of criticism, that's the moment your healing deepens. I've included a free download journal prompts for emotional awareness on my website, www.thejourneyofoneartist.com. Healing isn't about going back to change what happened. It's about becoming the safe place you always needed. Reparenting is the process of building that safety from the inside out. It's giving your inner child what they didn't receive, understanding, consistency, and unconditional love. When you reparent yourself, you take over the role your caregivers couldn't always fulfill. You become the one who listens instead of dismisses, the one who comforts instead of criticizes, the one who stays even when it's uncomfortable. It's not about blaming your parents. It's about recognizing that they could only give what they had. Now you get to offer yourself more. Core reparenting practices for internal safety. Let's figure out how we can reparent ourselves and get back, or get into, rather, the life that we've always wanted. So number 1, self-validation. This looks like, it makes sense that I feel this way. Instead of judging your feelings, practice validating them. Say, of course I feel hurt, or it's okay that I'm scared. Emotional safety begins when you stop arguing with your own emotions and start listening to them. Number 2, create consistency and structure. As children, we needed predictability to feel safe. As adults, we create it through routine, morning rituals, journaling, or just simply showing up for yourself every day. Here I am. Okay, let's do this. Consistency tells your nervous system, you can rely on me now. You can rely on me now because I know, because I've seen every day I show up and it's okay and I keep going. Number 3, gentle self-talk. Replace your inner criticism with nurturing language. Speak to yourself in the way that you would to a child learning something new. When you make a mistake, say it's okay, you're still learning. I say this to my 5-year-old. He has a hard time when he does the wrong thing. I say, dude, it's okay, you're learning. And every time I criticize myself, I say, where's that loving mother that told her 5-year-old, dude, you're awesome. You're still learning. And then I ask her to show up for me. You don't have to be perfect to be loved. All right, number 4, body soothing and regulation. Safety isn't just a thought, it's a feeling in the body. When you feel anxious, pause and breathe deeply into your belly. Try grounding by placing your hand on your heart, repeating, I'm here, I'm safe. These small moments retrain your nervous system to associate calm with presence. Number 5, meet your needs before crisis. Many of us only tend to ourselves when we're breaking down. Reparenting means checking in daily. What do I need right now? A question I have in my journaling prompts is, how can I show up for myself today? Another way to say this, what do I need now? I also make a spot to put self-care things like meditation, breath practice, exercise, drink water. These are all self-care things. Meeting your needs consistently tells your inner child that you matter. Number 6, inner dialogue practice with optional visualization. Imagine your adult self sitting with your younger self. Look them in the eyes and say, I'm here now. You're safe with me. You never have to face this alone. Again, visualization strengthens the emotional bond between your past and your present self, creating safety through presence. Internal safety doesn't come from everything outside you being calm. It comes from knowing you can stay calm inside no matter what's happening around you. Every time you validate, soothe, and show up for yourself, you're proving something powerful to your nervous system. I can be trusted. And that trust is the foundation of lasting healing. As you begin reparenting yourself, validating your emotions, creating consistency, speaking to yourself with kindness, it's important to remember this. Healing is not about perfection. It's about presence. There will be moments when old patterns return. When you catch yourself reacting or slipping into your old survival mode patterns, that doesn't mean you're failing. It means your system is showing you where love still needs to land, where you need to be the compassionate observer for yourself. So instead of asking, what's wrong with me, try asking, what part of me is feeling unsafe right now? Compassionate observation allows you to witness your triggers, emotions, and reactions without judgment, like watching a younger version of yourself trying your best with the tools you had. Blame, whether towards yourself or others, it only tightens the wound. Compassion loosens it. When you meet your pain with understanding. You stop fighting your own healing process. You begin to see that every pattern was just another form of protection. Everything you did was trying to make you feel safe. And the moment you stop judging that, the moment you look at yourself and say, of course, I felt that way. Of course, I needed that then. This is the moment the healing deepens. Compassionate observation is how you keep reparenting yourself in real time. It's the voice that says, I'm still here with you, even when you stumble. That's how safety grows, not from being perfect, but from being present with yourself through it all. As you begin practicing compassionate observation, something powerful starts to happen. You stop making yourself the enemy of your healing. You begin to see your reactions not as failures, but as echoes. And when you can hold those echoes with understanding instead of shame, you create the space to choose differently. That's when the deeper work begins, because the same patterns that once protected you, that had a chokehold over you, they often try to play out in your closest relationships. We repeat what feels familiar, even when it doesn't feel good. The tone of a parent, the distance of a caretaker, the chaos or control we grew up around. It becomes the emotional script we unconsciously act out with the people we love. This happens all the time. Just from my dating experience, I can tell you how quickly I can clock when a man has a cold and emotionally distant mother. And these men, bless them, they usually end up with extremely wretched, evil women that say the worst possible things that I've heard women say to men. And I've been around it enough times. And I look at them and I wonder, why are you around an abusive woman? And it's because their mom told them they were trash when they were kids. Now they found a woman that told them they were trash. This is very common. Very, very, very common. So how do we stop replaying these old emotional stories? How do we build relationships that reflect the healing that we've done instead of the wounds we came from? Let's explore how awareness, boundaries, and emotional honesty can help us rewrite those old scripts and create connections that feel safe, real, and alive. One of the most surprising parts of healing is realizing how easily we can recreate the same emotional patterns with new people. Different faces, different circumstances, but the same feelings, the same roles, the same stories underneath. The truth is, we don't attract what we want. We attract what we are, ready to heal. That's why you might notice yourself drawn to people who feel strangely familiar, emotionally unavailable like a parent, controlling like an old caregiver, or chaotic in ways that mirror your home and how you grew up. Your nervous system isn't seeking love. It's seeking what feels safe and familiar. And until safety feels different, familiar will win every time. You will continue to go back to the horrific relationships where they're treating you like crap, because that's the only way that you know how to be in communion in a close relationship. You will continue to play that out. Most people do not go from a completely lack of love home into just the most wonderful, flowering, emotionally healthy relationships where nobody yells and everybody calmly and collectively shares their experiences. I've not seen that happen. If you've seen it happen, please comment below. I want to meet that person because they're an anomaly. You're replaying an old emotional script. You over-explain yourself just to feel understood. You silence your needs to keep the peace. You chase love that feels just out of reach, or you push away the people who try to get close to you. Each of these patterns is the echo of a younger part of you trying to recreate the past in hopes of getting a new ending. Say, well, that didn't work when I was a child, but I know that I can have it work now. I know if I try again and maybe if I'm better this time, that it will work. But the healing begins when you realize you ain't here to audition, baby. That love should be unconditional. So how to stop the cycle? Number 1, notice when you feel pulled toward familiar pain. That instant spark, that intense connection, that I've known them forever feeling. Sometimes it's legit chemistry and connection, but sometimes it's recognition. Your body is saying, I know this pattern. So you got to pause and ask yourself, do I feel safe with this person or just familiar? I've experienced this. Like, wow, this is so easy to be around you. There must be some special attraction here. Not always, not always. It has also been that our wounds perfectly aligned into a wicked storm of just back-to-back abuse and triggering, So it could be familiar, but is the familiar feeling a positive or a negative feeling? Number 2, bring awareness before your reaction. So when conflict or emotional distance arises, take a breath before reacting. Ask yourself, how do I feel right now? Am I responding to this person or to my past? That one breath can change everything. It puts your adult self back in charge instead of your wounded baby self. Number 3, communicate from the present, not the past. Instead of shutting down or chasing connection, try sharing what's really happening underneath. For example, when you pull away, it brings up old feelings of being ignored. I know it's not about you, but I need to share it. If you were ignored by a parent and you then keep finding these emotionally unavailable partners, you need to be able to say, hey, that behavior triggers a sad feeling in me. I know that I need to work on that. I'm just letting you know I'm feeling a little bit uncomfortable. So you're not putting it on them. You're putting it on you and you're sharing with them so they know that your mood is not about them. Okay. So this honesty, it builds emotional safety and it breaks your old script. Number 4, practice secure attachment behaviors. Start showing your nervous system what safe feels like, what safe love feels like. People who are consistent and kind. Conversations that can hold truth without punishment. Choosing relationships that feel calm and not chaotic. It may feel boring at first, but boring is often what peace feels like to a nervous system that's used to survival. 5, reaffirm your new story. Every time you respond differently, every time you set a new boundary, you reparent yourself, you scratch out the old script and write a new script, you're writing something new for yourself. You're creating something new. One that says, I no longer have to earn love. I'm allowed to be safe. I trust myself to choose. I don't need others' outside opinions. The patterns you replay aren't proof that you're broken. They're proof that your soul is still seeking resolution. And every time you choose awareness over autopilot, compassion over chaos, truth over performance, you're not just healing yourself. You're healing generations of stories about what love has to cost. You can love without losing yourself. You can connect without collapsing. You can build relationships that reflect your healing, not your history. Healing your family imprint isn't about rewriting your history. It's about reclaiming your energy in the present. The moment you choose awareness, the pattern starts to shift. All right. So I'm going to walk you through a short reparenting meditation, becoming your own safe place. So get comfortable if you can. If you're driving or you're not able, save the meditation for later. But if you can, just shake out everything that you need to shake out from this episode. I'm not sure if you heard, but my voice cracked and I got a little bit choked up several times. This is not easy work. I don't do this easily. It's not easy for me to do this. I know it's not easy for you to do this. I'm here for you. I know we can. I know we can create a new, better earth. And that starts by knowing that we're worthy. Knowing that we're worthy. So I'm going to ask you to take a deep breath and breathe through your nose. Slowly exhale. Let your shoulders soften. Let your jaw release. Let your body settle into the support beneath you. Ground into the ground, the earth, if you're able. Or just feel an invisible tether anchoring you to the ground. Now imagine a small version of yourself sitting nearby, maybe as a child, maybe as a teenager. Notice their expression, their posture, their energy. You don't have to fix or change anything. Just notice. This is the part of you that's been carrying old fears, old worries, old stories of not being one who learned to stay quiet, to be strong, to take care of everyone. Gently place your hand on your heart and imagine your adult self walking toward them, calm, grounded. You kneel down beside them and you gently say, "See, you're safe with me now. You don't have to be the strong one." Feel the warmth of that moment, the connection between your past and your present self. You might notice your body relax a little or a wave of emotion rise. Just breathe and let it move through you. Nothing needs to be forced. I'm learning to love you the way you've always lived it. Let that truth sink in. Feel the safety of your own presence. Breathe steady with your heart open, your energy grounding, the pain grounding into Mother Earth. This is what reparenting feels like. Showing up for yourself moment by moment with compassion. Take one more slow, deep breath in. And as you exhale, imagine both versions of you, the child and the adult, merging into one whole, radiant self. Strong, loved, safe. Last deep breath in. When you're ready, you can gently open your eyes or bring your awareness back to the room, carrying that feeling of safety with you. Every time you do this, you strengthen the bond between who you were and who you're becoming. You are your own safe place now. As we close today's episode, I want to invite you to take one last deep breath. Inhale and feel your heart expand. Exhale and release that tension that doesn't belong to you anymore. Healing family dynamics isn't about rewriting your past. It's about understanding the emotional imprints they left behind and realizing you have the power to decide what continues and what ends with you. Every time you bring awareness to an old pattern, every time you offer yourself compassion instead of blame, every time you choose presence over performance, you're reprogramming your nervous system to trust that love and safety can coexist. You're not broken. You're not broken because of where you came from. You're evolving because you finally understand it. You finally understand why. You are becoming the safe place that you always searched. You're becoming what you always needed. Keep listening to your body and honoring your emotions, and keep trusting that every time you show up for yourself with kindness, your outer world begins to realign with that same energy. Healing your family imprint isn't about rejecting your story. It's about reclaiming your power to write the next chapter differently. I love y'all. Until next time, keep doing the inner work. Your outer world will catch up with you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for holding space for me as I clear emotions. Thank you for holding space for me as I hold space for you and allow to bring forth these exercises in these podcasts to help you transform and to help you bring this forth. I ask that if this is resonating or if you got anything out of it, please share it with somebody. Share it with somebody that needs this. Share it with somebody that's ready to release their old wounds and their old triggers and ready to live in abundance, creativity, and joy. Thank you all. Make it a great day. I really do love y'all.